Monday, April 17th, 1989. A helicopter would arrive on the horizon of the prison. Many thought it was just flying by like any other normal day. This time, the chopper would descend inside the fence of the prison and hover just above the exercise yard and scoop up accused marijuana trafficker Benjamin Barry Kramer. As the helicopter began to ascend, witnesses say other inmates saw their ticket to freedom and grabbed onto the skids. The helicopter veered backwards, striking the razor wire and crashing. The escape was foiled by the exact thing keeping Kramer inside the prison: the fence. 5 people would be indicted in the escape. Kramer was convicted of trafficking more than 100,000 pounds of marijuana. The FBI suspected that he made over $60 million. He is serving a life sentence and is currently incarcerated at USP Allenwood. This wasn't the only attempted escape by helicopter at this facility, but each of them also failed. There was another, more infamous inmate to have served significant time in the South Florida prison. Panama was in turmoil for much of the 1980s, with a brutal dictator in charge of the country from 1983 to 1989. Along with his brutality, he would amass a personal fortune through drug trafficking, which would ultimately be his downfall. Panama would be invaded by the United States on December 20th, 1989.
The President has directed United States forces to execute at 1:00 a.m. this morning pre-planned missions in Panama to protect American lives, restore the democratic process, preserve the integrity of the Panama Canal treaties, and apprehend Manuel Noriega.
This would be the largest invasion at the time since the Vietnam War. They would succeed, and he would be tried and convicted in federal court of drug trafficking and money laundering. Noriega would be sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. He would serve his time in the South Florida federal prison and would live much differently than other inmates in the federal system. Noriega's lawyers argued that he was a prisoner of war under the Geneva Convention, resulting in more privileges and better conditions. He would have a single cell with amenities such as electronics and exercise equipment. The cell would receive the nickname the Presidential Suite. Noriega would experience a spiritual awakening while in prison. Like many others in the prison system, he would convert to evangelical Christianity in 1990 and was baptized in 1992. Noriega would finish his prison term in 2007 and be extradited to France, where he would be tried for additional crimes. He would die in Panama in 2017 after a compassionate release. Let's start at the beginning of the storied facility in the Sunshine State. Federal Correctional Institution Miami would start as a youthful offender facility starting in 1976, but not long after its opening, its role would change. A mass immigration would flood South Florida with immigrants from Cuba and other Caribbean islands. It would reach a boiling point in April 1980 when a downturn in the Cuban economy would see 125,000 Cubans flee to America. Crowded boats would be seen making landfall all along the Florida coast. The Mariel boat lift would grip the Miami area. Through October of the same year, a small facility in South Florida would be tapped to help house the immigrants. It was built to house youthful offenders, but its mission changed. FCI Miami, a small facility in southwest Dade County, 30 miles from downtown Miami, with a capacity of just 1,000, would only make a small dent in the detention of the immigrants. As the immigration crisis waned, another crisis crept up on the population of Miami, making it a war zone. The Miami drug war would rock South Florida in the 70s and 80s. Armed conflicts between multiple drug cartels, along with the US government, would result in bodies dropping across the city. In 1980, the city had 573 murders, and in 1981, it inched higher to 621. The city even had to rent refrigerator trucks to store the bodies. With the new challenge, the mission of the facility would change again. The facility would be renamed Metropolitan Correctional Center, Miami, or MCC Miami. Those arrested for federal drug offenses in South Florida would be housed here pending trial. It became a facility full of people who enriched themselves while the local population was caught in the crossfire. The federal government would build a separate facility in downtown Miami, Federal Detention Center Miami, in 1995. taken over the role of MCC Miami. Weather is another factor that this facility must deal with. On August 24th, 1992, Hurricane Andrew would wreak havoc on Florida. In total, Andrew destroyed more than 63,500 houses, damaged more than 124,000 others, cost $27.3 billion in damage, and left 65 people dead. Luckily, the Bureau of Prisons decided to transfer the inmates housed here to other prisons throughout the southeast United States. The prison was out of service for almost a year and required $10 million to repair. Our highlighted inmate earlier, Noriega, was also briefly moved out of the facility. Another more recent hurricane would strike the facility, but this time inmates would stay. Hurricane Irma would make landfall on September 10, 2018. The storm would cause $50 billion in damage, with 84 people losing their lives. The BOP would bring in more staff, including 2 special operations response teams, to ensure that there were no issues. The facility would lose power and flood, leaving inmates and staff without food for 24 hours. The staff at the prison would file an EEOC complaint due to the working conditions. According to a letter sent to prison officials from the officers' union, due to the large number of staff, there was not enough beds, and some members had to sleep on the floor in the water. During the storm, the building lost power and the Sallyport gate was locked, and all team members could not exit the building in case of an emergency. Given its lower security level, incidents of violence and unrest are far less common. Before we move on to a riot at this prison, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content. In April 2023, a riot would occur at the facility. Following the riot, over 100 weapons were located on the prison yard. 4 inmates were sent to a local hospital, one of which was stabbed in the back of the head. A cell phone video was provided to a local news station showing the lead up to the melee. A mother of an inmate, after speaking with her son, said he looked down and blood was just pouring. It was reported that a smaller riot also occurred at the facility in 2016. Let's wrap up with some numbers and stats for the prison. FCI Miami has a design capacity of 1,042 inmates. The average daily population in 2021 hovered around 931 inmates. There is a main compound where most of the inmates are held, and a small camp to help support operations. On an interesting note, FCI Miami is the only prison with a water feature. There is a large pond in the center of the facility with a nice walking path around it. The main compound has 8 housing units, each of which are 2-tiered and double bunked. There is a small housing unit for disciplinary and administrative issues. The special housing unit has 18 cells, but it's likely that any problem inmates will be transferred to a higher security institution. This was a profile of Federal Correctional Institution Miami. Thanks for watching. As always, see you next time.